guys, so I'm here today to do the second part of my September book haul, which includes all the books I have borrowed from the library and picked up second hand. Now I don't have tons of books out of the library at the moment, in fact I only have 3. So let's start with those, and the first one I've already read, so we'll go with that first, and that is Saga Volume 7 by Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan. It has been a lifetime, it feels like, since I read a Saga volume 6 for me was like well over a year ago, maybe 2, and I finally thought, gosh, I need to start catching back up on Saga, does my library have them? And they did, so that was handy, and I enjoyed this. I don't know, I find sometimes with comic book series, graphic novel series, trade paperback volumes, when they go on forever and ever, I just start to lose a little bit of interest. I know that's not true for everybody, but yeah, I just get a bit distracted. Like, I'm not a massive fan of when they just continue and go and go and go. I quite like a wee, like 4-volume story arc. So I'm enjoyed this, but I'm still not like, oh my goodness, I need volume 8 straight away. I also, because it's been a while since I've read one of these, forgot quite how graphic they were, which I also don't have a problem with, but I think when you aren't reading as things that are as graphic, and I mean like in terms of violence and sex, then it's just like, oh, forgot about that. That was a surprise. This is what the art looks like if you've never seen Saga. It is a kind of space opera series about a woman and a man from different alien races whose people are at war with one another, and they have a bit of a Romeo and Juliet relationship. They have abandoned their respective armies in order to be together. And because of that, various factions want them dead because they suggest this idea that somehow their people can get along, which is not what they want. It's actually, however, narrated by their daughter, who is pictured on the back here, and she's born in the very first issue. And we see her growing up throughout the volumes. She's now, I don't know, like 6 or something, around that age. And the story does feel like as she gets older, it becomes more and more about her, not just narrated by her. That's her there. So it was fun to catch up. I generally think the series has a lot going for it, but I am glad I got out of the library to buy it. I then got a book at the library by Margot Lanigan. This is Tender Morsels, a work of genius, says the Sunday Telegraph. I also saw Neil Gaiman recommend this one a while back, and that's what put it on my TBR. I've never read anything by Margot Lanigan, but I've heard really good things about her work. They're very dark from what I'm aware, like very, very dark spins on kind of folklore themes and fairy tales. So this is a reworking of Snow White and Rose Red, which I'm really excited about because when I was a kid, the version of Snow White I had a book of was the Snow White and Rose Red version. So other than the Disney film, the version of the fairy tale that I was familiar with was the one where she had this sister called Rose Red. So I'm excited to read a retelling of it because I've never done that before. It's pretty foggy in the back of my mind now, so I don't know how it'll compare to my expectations. But I think it'll be really interesting, and it is, like I said, might be very dark. It does not shy away from like kind of harrowing topics, and I'm hoping I'm going to really, really enjoy this one because people do seem to really like Margot Lanigan. And then I have a book that I also had my last library book haul, or was it my last library book haul, or was it the library book haul before that? I can't remember. But basically I had The Furies by Katie Lowe out of the library, got about halfway through it. I think I'm on around page like 170 or something like that. Obviously my bookmark isn't in it anymore because I had to return it to the library when I went to Edinburgh. I didn't want to take a library book up to Edinburgh with me, so I thought, somebody else might want to read it in the meantime, I'll return it to the library and get it back out. And thankfully it wasn't on loan when I came back, so I've taken it back at the library and plan on finishing it. And this one is all about a group of high school students in England who go to this school that has a history of witchcraft and witch trials. Like the original founder, I think, was burned at the stake or killed for being a witch. And because of this, one of their teachers, their art teacher, has gathered together a select few students. It's an all-girls school, to learn about the past of this school, and they get kind of fascinated by it and start experimenting with witchcraft. It has a bit of a secret history, meets the film The Craft vibe, and I was really, really immersed in it, so I can't wait to get back to it. And then I have the books I've picked up second hand. The first one I picked up in any amount of books on Charing Cross Road, which is a second hand bookshop, and it sounds completely out there, but it is Hollow Kingdom by Kyra Jane Buxton. Now I saw this on another booktuber's channel and had it in the back of my mind that I'd be interested in reading it. I think it was Kendra. It might not be, but I think it was Kendra, because this is a crime novel narrated by a crow. And I really like birds, and the idea of like a crime novel narrated by a bird is, you know, so within my wheelhouse. I'm really, really intrigued. It could really go either way, though, of course. It's such a strange concept. Basically, the crow protagonist is a domesticated crow being kept as a pet, and I think perhaps his owner dies and he has to figure out what happened to him. I know, it sounds really weird, and I think it's going to be really weird. I think it's quite weird, surreal fiction, but I'm here for it. And this is what looks like a brand new hardback copy for £5, so I was not displeased by this. A second-hand book I didn't actually pick up recently. I picked up quite a while ago and then left it in Edinburgh and completely forgot to show it to you, so this time when I was visiting Edinburgh I remembered to bring it back to London with me, so now I will also read it as well as tell you about it. And that is Divine by Mistake by P.C. Cast, a goddess of Partholon novels. So I think P.C. Cast has written a whole series of books set in this kind of semi-mythological influenced world that she's created called Partholon, I assume, and my friend Jill loves these. I think they're sort of supernatural romances is what they are, and she always recommends these to me, so I thought I would pick one up secondhand. And this one is about Shannon Parker, who is off shopping on holiday when she accidentally ends up in the world of Partholon, and when she gets there she is treated like a goddess and is married in a ritual to a centaur, but Jill has clarified for me that the centaur can also take human man form, like fully. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know, it sounds super weird. It's inspired a bit by Greek mythology, but like its own characters and gods, and I know PC Cast has written a lot of books like that, so I would like to finally read one of them. And then I have a book that I honestly have never heard of before, but I loved the cover and I picked it up in a charity shop for £1, which is Prosperous Children by Jan Siegel. When I saw this I thought maybe it was going to be Shakespeare inspired because, you know, Prospero, but I don't actually think that it is, and if it is it's like loosely, it's not like a direct retelling of a Shakespeare play. But yeah, I just, quintessential cheesy old school fantasy cover. Love these so much, mass market paperbacks. And since I didn't really know what this one was about, I'm not going to try and summarise it, I'm just going to read you the back. It says, a mysterious isolated house awaits 16-year-old Fern and her brother Will for the summer holidays, and as the old house reveals its secrets, their familiar world starts to fracture, giving access to a magical and corrupt land destroyed thousands of years ago. Sounds so good. For hidden in the house is a talisman which has been sought by the forces of good and evil for millennia, and only someone possessed of the gift can use it. Soon Fern finds herself being courted by the enigmatic wanderer Ragenbone and the sinister art dealer Javier Holt, who know that she has the gift. Both want her to find the talisman and use it to unlock the door, but what awaits her on the other side? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. Then the next two I also actually picked up when I was with Jill. I mean, let's be honest, I pick up most of my books when I'm with Jill. These two I picked up in charity shops, and the first one cost me 50p, and that is Unmasked by Nicola Cornett, which I'd never heard of before, but it is a historical romance novel, which is my new favourite genre. It's set between London and Yorkshire in 1805, and what really drew me to this one is that our female protagonist and love interest is actually a highwaywoman who is part of this group of women who rob from the rich and give to the poor. And I was like, this sounds brilliant, like, no visiting balls. I mean, it's out there, right? But I'm so into that because it almost gives it a fantastical sort of, you know, out there edge, and I like my fantasy. I like my fiction to be a little bit out there. So the idea that they are robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, and that they're these awesome independent women that are part of this highway group, just, I don't know, it sounded fantastic to me. Naturally, of course, she meets this man called Nick Faulkner, who's been sent to catch her. They don't know who she is, and she ends up falling in love with him. Standard, but I can't wait. And then one I have seen talked about on BookTube and has a stunning cover is Under the Pendulum Sun, a novel of the fae by Jeanette Ng, and I have heard amazing things about this author as well. Everyone seems to love her books, but I've never picked any of them up. I think it's set in a fantasy world, although it sounds like it's got a bit of like a historical feel to the fantasy world. It says Catherine Hellstone's missionary brother Leon has disappeared while bringing the gospel to the Dark Continent, not Africa but Arcadia, legendary land of the magical fae. Really interesting concept. Desperate for news of him, she makes a perilous journey to the extraordinary land, but once there she finds herself alone and isolated in the sinister monster house of Gethsemane. At last there comes news. Her beloved brother is riding to be reunited with her, but the Queen of the Fae and her insane court are hard on his heels. Oh, sounds really interesting. It's also been blurbed by Aliette de Bedard, who is an author I really like. So I'm excited for this. I don't know if it's the first in a series or if it's a standalone, so let me know if you know, but I have high hopes. And then lastly, on that theme, I have another Fae book, which I picked up in a second-hand shop, never having heard of it before, and that is Glimmer Glass by Jenna Black. And the reason I even bothered reading the blurb on this one is because the tiny little subheading here says a fairy walker novel, and I love fairies. So this is about Dana Hathaway, who ends up in the realm of the Fae. I don't know if this is young adult or adult, but either way, I'm happy to give it a shot. I think in this story, Dana is actually half Fae, or at least her father lives in the world of the Fae, and she's sick of her home life, is pretty troubled. Her mum is an alcoholic, and she just wants to run away, so she goes to find her father in the world of the Fae, but things end up a lot more darker and sinister than she expected them to. You know, just kind of ticks your standard Fae novel tropes, but I'm here for all of that. So those are the books I've recently picked up secondhand or from my library. Let me know if you have read any of these or are interested in reading any of them. What do you think? What do you think I should read first? Would love to hear from you, but until next time, happy reading, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye guys.